Joey, how you doing today? You can be honest too. You could be honest in this room. I feel like we're about to get it.
I'm only gonna be honest. Honestly, the feeling is just surreal. I've been listening to all of the panelists in which I've hand selected, and I feel as if, putting together this whole event, this whole opportunity for us all to share space and build community. I keep hearing the same quote in my head, like, build it and they will come. You know what I mean? And I feel like this serves as a testament to that. It serves as a testament to understanding what your dreams are and following them no matter what. You know what I'm saying? Because I see X amount of people in this room, but I really see a legacy that lives forever. I see a day that will be timeless for everyone. I see a moment in time where we share space that nobody in this room will ever forget. So I'm truly grateful.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Give it up for that, man. We're all grateful for you. I want to make sure that energy.
I feel good, man. We just out there doing push-ups, so I'm ready to go.
We can tell. We see it. We see it on.
As if it wasn't on me.
It's a no-sleep summer. It's all right.
Yeah, so, look, on this panel, we're talking about goals and momentum, dream catching. And, Keys, I want to start with you because I heard you talk about this concept that I love, and it's something that I felt, but I've never been able to articulate it nearly as well as you have. This concept of auditing your environment. And I think this is so key for dream catchers out there, right? For all of us, that we don't want to go the conventional route, that we have something that isn't the path that everybody thinks, and whether it's your parents, or whether it's your homies, like, nah, bro, you can't, nah, you ain't how do you talk about the concept of auditing your environment in order to really, really achieve your goals and this forward momentum?
Yeah, I was always taught that environment is stronger than nature. So if your environment is not conducive to your nature, it's going to take you off pivot. So if you have a goal, right, and this is easy to understand when we think about it in sports, right? If somebody says that they're going to win a Super Bowl or an NBA championship, and you don't see them training, you don't believe them, right? That means that they have to have a certain amount of habits and a regimen that is built up going towards their goal. But in life, people say that they have goals all the time and you never see them training for it, right? And that means that they're not eating a certain way, right? They don't have the right people around them that's going to help foster that environment or encourage that mindset to help them produce that outcome. So for me, if my goal is to do nothing, then I'm going to have a bunch of nothing-ass people around me, right? I don't care if they distract me, they can invite me wherever they want to, and I'm going to pull up because I don't have no goals. But if my goal is to be great, and that's a choice that I make, then I mean that everything in my environment has to be intentional, right? It's either an attraction or a distraction. And your goal is to gain traction in life, right? Moving forward. But distractions, right, are the things that we indulge in, especially when things so-called get too hard. So one of my favorite quotes is, procrastination is the abortion clinic of genius. Right? And the opposite of that is procreation, which is the action that we put in, pushing past that pain to give birth to things. When a woman is pregnant, you want to create a careful, safe environment around that because she has precious cargo. She's going to give birth to something, and you don't want to do anything that can cause a miscarriage. You don't want to do anything that can cause that life, that force that she's trying to bring in life, right, to be aborted. But it's the same thing, especially with men, our wombs in our mind, right? We don't have a physical womb like a woman, right? A man is his mind. So the way that we manage our mind is a direct correlation between the degree of manhood that we live. So for me, auditing my environment is making sure that the things around me are tonic instead of toxic.
Wow, that's heavy, man, and makes a lot of sense. Joey, for you, just going right back off of that, right? One thing that Keith said that struck me, and we all go through it, right? Like when we talk about dream catching, starting with a dream, it really starts in the mind. It really starts from like we dream when we sleep, if we take it literally. It starts from a still place with no action. You just get this thought, this thing that you want to do in life. For you, in your dreams, be it music, be it acting, be it the summit, what we built. Talk about that transition of dreaming it and then actually taking the active steps to make it like the first step.
First of all, that's a great question. It starts with the vision, you know what I mean? That's number one. And then from the vision, you gotta have the determination, the dedication to power it through, to push it forward. What I always like to ask myself is, if I have a goal, or I have a dream, I have something that I want to get to, I have a vision that I want to bring into reality, what I like to ask myself is, okay, cool, here's the goal, here's the idea, what's the next one thing that I have to do to get closer to it? So the way that I operate when it comes to goals is like a system of, I call it zooming in and zooming out, right? So everybody, well, I like to say that most people in this room probably make like a beginning of the year goal list, am I right? What's our goals for the year and stuff like that, right? And a lot of times we tend to make these goals with the idea that somebody's looking over our shoulder, or somebody's gonna find a little black book of what our dreams is, so we wanna make them as sexy as possible, like, oh, let's do $1 million, you know what I'm saying? But did you make $1 million last year, right?
Make half of it.
Did you make half of it? Right. So that's how I like to approach goals, right? It's like, okay, cool. First, I like to be realistic, right? Like, of course, everybody wants to make $1 million, but we got to make 100,000 first before we get to $1 million. So what's the next step to that, right? Let's take the goal and take it for what it is. Now let's set up these ideas of what we can call checkpoints. So we have the goal for the year, but what do I have to do this month to make sure that I'm closer to the goal for the year? And then let's zoom in even more. What do I have to do this week to make sure that I'm closer to the goal for the month? Let's zoom in even more. What do I have to do today to make sure that I'm closer to the goal of this week? And that's how I like to approach it.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful, man. And I think it's important, you know, one of the things that we do, I think that's dangerous as dreamers. It's not dangerous, but it starts with, like, it's the finish line. It's exactly what you're saying. Like we want to win the Grammy. Hey, did you write a song yet? Like, you know what I'm saying? Have you secured the music? Did you book studio time? Do you know how to use whatever it is to get there? Nah, but I just want the Grammy. It doesn't exactly work like that.
Right.
Keys, you know, you also talk about, and part of that is we're talking about discipline, right? Being able to check yourself, being able to hold yourself accountable. You talk about emotional intelligence and this knowledge of self and knowing who you are and what makes you tick in order to go out there and get it, man. Can you expound on that emotional intelligence and knowing who you are in order to achieve your goals?
Yeah. Rise above emotions into the thinking of a God.
A lot of our parents' dreams for us was just like, well, at least for me, I heard this in my family, get a civil service job, stay there 40 years, and you can retire, you get a pension. It was like very singular, like this is the path. And you know, I think what this generation does so well, what y'all two have done amazingly well, is different disciplines, right? Different dreams. I can conquer. I don't have to be one thing. I don't have to be in this box, you know. Joey, can you talk about, and want to start with you, the music and the acting, both phenomenal, right? You know, I met you as a musician, learned later that acting was actually your first dream. So how do you pivot, and there's more stuff that you're doing, there's more business, giving back the impact on it. How do you find the discipline when you have multiple dreams, multiple paths that you want to take?
First of all, I just want to point out that Rob Markman is the first person in the industry to ever interview me. So make some noise for Rob. You believed in me, bro.
Yeah, because your talent was on this. Like, somebody asked the question, then they asked the call, like, what do you notice? Like, if I send you an EPK, because at the time I was working at MTV, if I send you the EPK, like, what do I have to send you to get you noticed? For me, what I tell people all the time is just send me the song. Like this is, you're an artist, this is the music business, right? This is, like, the music has to touch you first. And then I'll learn about you. But send me the song that's going to make me a fan. And some people, they want to send their whole album. You know what I'm saying? Listen, the first time, let's say B.I.G., I'm from that generation. First, like, Ready to Die is a classic, right? But you had to fall in love with Juicy first. Give me this, it don't have to be a single, I'm not talking about, but give me the one thing that's going to make me want more of that thing. And when I saw you and rest in peace, Steve's, in survival tactics, in that video, I said, what is this? Who is this? I want more. Like, I need to hear more, I need to learn more, and it started from being a fan. So you made it easy to believe in you, and you put the video out yourself. It wasn't like a private email, it was out there in the world. And I saw it and I loved it. So you made it easy because you put your art out there, you put your time out
Well,
there.
thank you, because you made it easy for me as well. I couldn't need that exposure at the time. But to answer the question, how does one navigate from one field to the next? In my case, music to acting. So first off, I've always been interested in the arts. That's just who I was as an individual. When I was going to high school, it was the first time where I was introduced to the concept of specialized learning, specialized knowledge, right? So, I'm putting in my bid for all of these schools and I'm trying to figure out what it is that, like what program do I want to apply for to enroll in whatever school, right? And I've quickly realized, like, okay, I want to rap, like I want to do music. That's always been like my core burning passion, right? But there was no schools that were going to help me further my skills as an MC. So I had to think about what was the next thing that I would pivot to, or what's the next thing that would feed my burning desire, my passion that's inside my core. And immediately it was acting, right? So I ended up auditioning to get into a screen theater program at a high school called Edward R. Monroe. Shout out to Edward R. Monroe in Brooklyn.
Yeah. I applied too, I didn't get in. But.
And, so once I got accepted for that, mind you, before this, I never did any type of acting. I never had no type of coaching or any type of experience in the field. I literally just went in for an audition and they accepted me. And that alone gave me the confidence to know that, like, here is another field that I would be able to navigate, right? And just a quick segue. So yesterday I had a full circle moment because I went back to my high school last night. They had this music tech festival show where it's like a showcase for all of the students. And it's the derivative of a program that I started in the school 8 years ago. Me and Alicia Keys partnered up and we donated money to the school to build, like, it's essentially a music and tech program. So you go in there now and there's like 25 computers in this room and every computer's out of focus, right? There's a studio booth in there, there's a whole setup. So essentially, I created that program in my school that I was looking for.
Because it wasn't there when
it wasn't there, you know what I'm saying? So I had so that was a very surreal moment for me last night, and then to be here, it's just like God is like, bang, bang, two combos, it's crazy. But what I want to say about navigating different industries is, one, what I had to realize, right? So once I got accepted into the theater program, I learned very quickly. So I was one of 3 black kids in the whole class, right? It was me, and there was this kid named Sadiq Saunderson who actually plays Ghostface in the Wu-Tang show.
Oh, wow.
So the 2 black dudes made it out. 2 black boys made it out. Word. But I learned quickly that making it as an actor in New York City was like finding a needle in a haystack. Like, it's virtually impossible. So I'm like, okay, how do I find success here? I was still making music. Monroe was where we actually ascended the Pro Era Collective. And I told myself, you know what? I'm gonna double down on my dream as a hip hop artist, and eventually I'll be able to use this to leverage getting into the theater, the film and TV space. And essentially that's what I did, and I don't want to make it seem like it's just so simple how it happened, but the message that I want to get at is sometimes you gotta understand, like how John said earlier, you gotta sometimes the market decides for you, right? Like, even though I was in school for theater, the market or the world was presenting that I had a higher chance or a higher probability to make it as a MC. You know what I mean? Because, we was ill, we was fired. we was the dudes, we was making noise. And that path was just easier for me at the time. So to all of my disciplinaries, am I saying that right?
Our disciplinary?
All of my multi-dimensional beings out there. It sounds more,
So the remix, you just remixed it, right?
I got a poetic license, I can do that. So my what am I saying? My advice is, you know, understand what the playing field is. And really, you know, like Key said, you gotta be able to kind of zoom out, take a step back, and generalize what's going on in the environment, what's going on in these different industries that you may be navigating, and understand what strengths apply to you at that moment, and that's how you decide what the odds are like and what your probability is like in navigating respective fields. You know, because that's what it was for me in a bunch of words.
Keys, anything to add on to that as it relates to your experience?
Yeah, I think people always say I be doing too much. But I feel like if you're not doing too much, you ain't doing enough.
Exactly.
That's my whole vibe of things. But, you know, my life has been a little different. My steps have been ordered a little different.
But it ain't about me, it's about y'all. So with that being said, it's Q&A time. So y'all know the drill. This is the third panel, right? Let's go. Let's get it.
And so this question is for Joyce specifically. So I'm a rapper, and you're actually one of my inspirations, so I appreciate you for that. Thank you. And I'm 25, which is, I'm still young as hell. I understand I'm still young, but I've been doing this for years, and I haven't quite got my foot in the door yet. Meanwhile, I'm seeing people that are much younger than me that are much bigger. And even you, for example, like you started getting established when like 16, 17. So what advice would you give somebody that they're working on something for years, but it hasn't quite worked out yet, and they're kind of starting to lose motivation?
Well, first off, you want to take your mind off of others. You know what I'm saying? Focus on you, because everybody's path is not going to be your path. Everybody's path is unique. Like, you may see others approaching forwards, but your approach might be backwards. You know, so you got to just keep experimenting until you find your thing. Like, on the networking panel, it was a dialogue about leaning into your strengths and not it was such a good quote Jabrail said.
Potency of your desires.
Yes, exactly that. Yeah, I gotta write that down. Leaning into your strengths and not the potency of your desires, right? So if I was you, what I would do is ask myself, what makes me great, or what makes me different? And I'll just lean into that unapologetically. Keep a tunnel vision and just focus on that. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing, because your path is your path. And once the moment happens for you, it can't happen for nobody else like that, because that's how you did it. You know what I'm saying? And that's what makes you different from everybody else. Appreciate it.
I'll share with you, if you want to stay a second, just a personal story. For those who don't know why, I started.
Another community builder in the tech industry, specifically for Black and brown folks who got a college degree. And my question is for Nancy Keys. When it comes to controlling your emotions in this hyper-connected society, in what ways do you pull yourself back to self?
I think it's through disconnection, finding that time to just detox. You feel me? Where I think the greatest place for mental health is in
match, whereas active practice is more of like setting time to the side to like specifically focus on that one skill, whether it be something that's a soft skill, something technical. So being I'm like so fascinated with people's process and that, I would like to, ask that question and say, was there ever a moment where any three of you had practiced something intentionally for the sole purpose of getting better at it, and you found that it kind of followed that full circle later on?
I would say for me, speaking, even though it's something that I believe that I've been doing since a child, but I used to intentionally go to, like, when I was in Oakland, for whatever reason or not, I used to go to the rallies. And in Oakland, you got like the Berkeley crew and Oakland crew, and anytime there's something happening, whether it's gun violence, it's a sea of white people fighting for black rights. But I used to feel a certain way about it, because I'm like, how is they speaking for us? right? So I used to go grab a microphone, a bullhorn, and I would speak. And it was just me out of pure passion. But after that, so many people have come up to me, right? Like, man, you really inspired me, blah, blah, blah. So after that, I then started to believe in myself more as far as me having that particular gift. And I started studying communication and speaking. I don't ever leave nothing up to chance, right? If you got a talent, develop it. And so I started studying every TED talk I could, every book I could read, every science I can get on it, because I truly believe, like, as far as habits is more so immersion for me, right? I want to be completely immersed in the environment of that skill that I'm trying to build. I'm only looking at communicators, and then they become my competition. I want to be better than Les Brown. I want to be better than Martin Luther King or Farrakhan. I always reach at the top. I'm never looking horizontally. You feel me? I'm never looking at my peers. I'm saying, who is the greatest? And what are they habits? Because if you become a disciple of somebody, right, that is great, then you have to do what they do, which is discipline. So for me, you know, immersion is that technique that I've used throughout my life to almost develop any skill that I wanted to. And then, you know, it goes from me speaking to 50 students in a class to me being able to do a tour, 15 cities and globally, right? Because of the skill that I developed and harnessed. And so as Joy was talking about earlier with the young brother with the music, it's like sometimes, and I think this is a big mindset problem that we got, is that we look at the way people's strengths show up in their life and the results that they get. And we want that. The problem is that sometimes people build dreams off their weaknesses and not their strengths, because of the way that somebody else's strengths have yield them results. And so we're always comparing, well, they got this, but that ain't even your strength. That's their strength showing up. You feel me? And you don't know your strength might have been behind the camera. You don't know your strength may have been managing or assisting that person. And you could have been a part of it. So I think that we have so much insecurity in society that we chase so much significance, right? That we try to do anything to be significant. And a lot of times we're using our weaknesses for it, and we don't know how to develop our strengths.
How y'all doing? I'm Austin Johnson, Joe's your mentor. I appreciate y'all for everything that y'all said. And it's kind of, I've been thinking about this question for a little minute, being that y'all on there, so anyone's free to talk about it. But I got into music to speak for like a lot of the people I felt was impressed where I was from, specifically being in the South. So my question is, as a black man who has a heart for his people and prioritizes addressing the black struggle in his daily walk, how do you approach giving aid to other oppressed groups like Palestine when my people still have so many issues that must be addressed?
Okay. You said it one more time?
How do you approach leading aid to other oppressed groups like Palestine when my people still have so many issues that must be addressed? What are some practical ways of leading aid while still empowering my people?
I think it's like this, right? How do I want to say it? Every issue matters. You know what I'm saying? Every area of the world that's dealing with oppression matters. And I think that we just got to speak up for it all, because one of us ain't good, ain't none of us good. And, you know, there might be, like the fire department, there's fires to be put out everywhere, but they got to pick and choose, you know, which house they gonna go to at a time. And I feel like we just look at it like that, right? Right now, Palestine is burning. So that's where we gotta be vocal at. Congo is burning. That's where we gotta be vocal at. You know, our people here in America is burning. So we gotta be vocal here. And we just gotta, you know, keep it all in mind, stay aware of everything, and what you can do, you do. Especially when it comes to artistry, you know, you share that. You spread those messages to the world and make sure as many people hear it as possible. Because those people who are oppressed, they need our voices.
I believe that if you watch oppression and you do nothing, you're gonna be the next to be oppressed. And then we gotta be real with ourselves, right? It's like, I know, like, I come from Oakland and St. Louis, very violent environments. Right now, St. Louis has the highest rate of gun violence. this is why I like to inspire, right? This is why I like to teach. This is why I like to lead in the first place. I can't be everywhere at once. Sometimes we make excuses to do nothing, but what about what's happening in Chicago? Are you doing anything about Chicago? If you're not doing anything there, then assist where you can, right? At least do the minimum. The people who really have a heart for it will do the maximum, right? But we live in one of the most pivotal times right now. I believe that over the next few years is going to be crucial, right? We got a political season coming up, and 2025 going to be ugly. Right? You don't want to watch what's happening to somebody else, because I promise you, it's going to happen to you eventually. So I believe that it's everybody's responsibility that regardless of where you see wrong, because we can go on social media and post and bullshit all day. So, you know, reposting some awareness about genocide, right, in a country that's happening to a people because of who they are is something that I can relate to as a black man in America. Right? If there's something that my brothers in Chicago want me to do or Detroit want me to do, I'm there as well. My brother in Oakland, my brother Joey, like wherever it is, I'm not going to stress myself so thin that I can't do for self. Right? But for me, wealth is having those resources to be able to assist yourself and assist others. But I think that black people can take a page out of the book of oppressed people who fight, because we become so mundane about our existence out here that we're not really fighting. You know what I'm saying? And this is why we be like, wait a minute, we're not fighting for ourselves, how we gonna fight for other people? Right? And that's really the guilt that we have for not doing enough for each other. So we like, how am I gonna repost this? And I just ignored that. So I think that's an internal battle that each person has about their own lack of doing, right, in the world, that they know that they ignored to party and bullshit, because that's the vibe, right? So whatever you can do, do it. If you're a good person, you always want to do good. That's the minimum.
Amen. You got one more question.
Boy said one more.
That's a heavy one, man.
Even though the teleprompter says wrap up.
My name is Posh. I had a conversation on the spectrum of safety and freedom as it relates to, the creative life and entrepreneurship, safety, reflecting on the conforming society on 9 to 5s, come home at a specific time, the team life, and freedom, capitalizing on just doing whatever you want. My question is, I want you guys to reflect on it, and I think it's transferable as we make different choices, that the options that fall under changes. So how does that spectrum show up in your life?
Can you please say the question again?
How does the spectrum of safety and freedom, and the decisions and choices that come with it, show up in your life?
The safest I've felt recently in my life when I was in Ghana, actually. I don't ever feel safe in America. I'm always on edge, right? And the idea of protection is what happens before it, right? So when it's a precursor to a dangerous thing happening, right? You talk about black men's safety or black women's safety. What are the protocols that you're willing to follow to prevent something from happening in the first place, which becomes the lifestyle that you live? Most people are not willing to live a life that allows them to be protected. And then when something happens, they're going to yell, why nobody protected you? Well, what are the protocols? What are the things that you follow? Because sometimes you have to be able to submit to something in order to be able to get protection. If I got a security detail, they're like, Keith, you can't go down there. Right? It's too high, it's dangerous. And I'm like, no, fuck that, we taking a chance. When something happens, that's on me. I can't be like, why y'all ain't protect me? They was trying to protect me by leading me in the right direction in the first place. So for me, it's about a lifestyle, because I move all throughout the planet. So we gotta move in proper protocol. We gotta always be security minded at all times. I think one of the most dangerous places on the planet Earth is the club. You feel me? And we'll willingly go there, right, on the weekend, night, whatever time we catch, whatever vibe. You go drink around strangers, you outside, people watching you, want to rob you, don't know people, you in a place where the spirits is high. And we do that to have a good time. Right? And then there's so many statistics that's connected to things that happen, so many incidents, and we wonder why, because we live a very reckless life. Right? And we really don't care until something happens. So I remember I was doing a checkup the other day, and the homie was like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "Nothing. That's why I'm doing a checkup. Like, the goal is to protect myself before something goes wrong." But most people only respond when something happens, so they're reactive. So I believe in being proactive, man. And some of this shit you gotta learn how to move militant, and just most men don't know how to move militant. So it ain't just a mindset. You gotta actually learn how to move. It ain't gonna be something that you just positive your way as far as moving throughout the world. I know Joey is very militant. You feel me? That's one thing when I was connected with him, I respect. He know how to move to get in and out of situations. You gotta have somebody that's on point with you. When women moving throughout the world to really be protected, there's certain things you gotta say yes and no to. Certain people you gotta have with you or not with you. But if you're not learning how to move militant in this world wicked as hell. So anything can happen to you. Niggas literally be like they on demon time. You think you safe? So for me, it's moving militant until you create an environment that's safe.
Amen.
Thank you. Well, yeah.
That's good.